Author Yuval Noah Harari says that a new form of intelligence has entered on Earth. What does emotional intelligence mean to you?
Why are they even existing?
How do you stay true to yourself?
Come as a package. This will be like a creation of a lot more joy.
So, what skills humans will continue to have an edge over AI?
We are not just the words we speak. We are thought leaders.
It's not okay to fail.
It came because of that failure that I had.
What is the best advice you ever received?
When somebody comes to you,
Author Yuval Noah Harari says that a new form of intelligence has entered on Earth called alien intelligence, which we call as artificial intelligence. And today we are standing at the crossroad where we may have a face-off with AI in future. What do you think? And to answer some of these questions, we have a very special guest who has been a trailblazer in IT industry with his leadership role spanning from Infosys, Persistent Systems, and now he's serving as the Chief Operating Officer at Tredence. Please help me welcome Mr. Munjay Singh on our show today. So Mr. Munjay, it's a very warm welcome and we're very excited to have you on our show today. So welcome.
thank you. Thanks for having me here with you.
Sir, you have been always my role model while working at Infosys when I was there, and I've always looked up to you as a leader who has very stayed calm in difficult situations, managing so many things. And today, in a world where emotional intelligence is again taking the front seat for a leader because of the invasion of AI. So I want to understand and learn from you, what does emotional intelligence mean to you, and when you're having so many stressful days? So how do you manage yourself and keep yourself calm in those days?
I think most important thing is to be yourself. Right? If you are true to yourself and you really are interested, right? So what is emotional intelligence? Right? It is the ability to connect with people, to understand what you really are keen on understanding, what people are trying to do, why they want to do certain things, what will make them successful, why are they even existing. If you're able to connect to that and you're able to solve that, you're able to help with them, that I think is very powerful. And I strongly believe that if you are like true to yourself as a person, as a human, then you will have the emotional intelligence. And if you are in a make-believe world, if you are under a charade of who you really are, but you have covered yourself in layers, your emotional intelligence will be low. So today, if you really want to know people, you want to be closer to anyone outside, you want to really understand how to make a difference, you have to really be yourself. And it doesn't mean just being nice. It doesn't mean that you have to be nice to people. It's extremely important. You have to be honest with them.
Sure.
You have to be very clear in your communication. You have to be very fair. Like one of the favorite line I used to really love from Mr. Murthy was, it's not important to be fair enough. It's also important to be seen as fair. Right? That is a difference. Right? So how can you be true to yourself, to be the core of what you're doing? And I think that will never go out of fashion.
Sure.
It will never be a lesser of a skill, irrespective of what happens in the technology world.
So, sir, now coming on more on this, how do you stay true to yourself? So what keeps you more connected to yourself? Like, what is your strategy or belief? So how do you manage that?
See, what does it mean to be true to yourself, right? I mean, you really, the way I look at it, right? I mean, I grew up in a small town. My parents never told me, how to dress, how to talk or not to talk, what do I do, or what I should not do. They taught me values, which was important. They taught me how to respect people, which was important. They taught me how to learn things from the different places, and that stayed with me. Right now, when I go out and when I talk to anybody, we met the other day. Right? I was really interested in what you're doing. Right? It is for me. I'm genuinely interested in people's, what they're trying to do, what their journey is, because that's what I've learned. I've seen borrowed in the society around me. That's what. And if you're doing that, there is no stress.
True.
Right? If you are genuine about yourself, the stress is the gap between your expectation and your reality. That's the gap, right? And if you have more of that, then you'll have higher stress.
Yeah.
If you accept yourself, if you accept the way you are, right, We come as a package, all of us.
Yeah.
We are not only the strength and minus the weaknesses, and we are not weaknesses minus the strength, right? We come as a package, right? You have to accept, of course, I have shortcomings, and I have to accept them. I have strength, and I have to, leverage that. And if I'm aware, then I'm calm. There's no stress. I get all the emotions like anybody else would do, right? And I'd be lying if I say, no, I don't get. Of course, I get emotions. I get disappointment. I of course, I'm upset at times. But then I process it and say, okay, let's be done with that. And then what do we need to do, right? And that, if you are in that focus, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what issue you are dealing with. It doesn't matter what kind of people you're dealing with. You are able to deal with all kind of people.
So you accept yourself truly as who you are, with all the shortcomings and the strengths, and that is kind of helps you to stay grounded, connected, and lessens the stress for you.
Absolutely.
And that's a great approach. Great approach.
I'm extremely comfortable meeting, talking to Prime Minister. I've done that. I'm extremely comfortable talking to the auto rickshaw guy that I've taken a ride. Because to me, they're people.
Yeah.
They all have their own desire to do things. They have different desires to do things. Some are maybe looking at their own small world. Some are looking at big country. But end of the day, everybody is doing their own part, right? And if you're genuinely interested in what you can offer, you will never have a stress. That's how I look at it.
So it's a very rare quality to have, that you can maintain compose in different circumstances. And I think what you were mentioning, a lot of it probably you're inherited from your values, childhood values as well, and which is kind of carrying you through. So that's really interesting. So sir, now coming to the new developments which are happening in today's world, and in fact, like, AI is creating a lot of mixed emotions. For a lot of people, they're apprehensive. It may lead to a job loss. And for me, being an entrepreneur, I have really benefited from it because it has helped me in cost savings, productivity savings. I can design my own content. I can edit my videos easily. So it is making my life easier. But a lot of people think that it may see this as a threat to their jobs. So what do you see the relationship of humans developing with the AI in future, and what would you call this?
It's a question that I think a lot of people are pondering. They're worried about what is going to happen. There's something which is very interesting. So I have looked at slightly differently. When we started to get calculators, the ability to differentiate because you knew maths and did not know maths kind of disappeared, right?
Yeah.
Then came the internet, and with internet came the vast memory. Then the memory got democratized, right? Whether I have read many books, my knowledge is not a lot more than somebody who has access to internet. So democratization of memory happened in the second wave, right? And then that created new jobs. There's some people made money by gateway to the memory, which is Googles of the world, and of course through the ad revenue. But the democratization of memory created new business models. And I think what will happen, the AI and the AGI, which is not very far away, maybe 5, 10, 15 years, will create democratization of intelligence. And when that happens, the differentiation is going to come from connecting the dots. Can you connect multiple dots and solve the problem?
Sure.
If you can solve a problem, right, the problem solving ability is going to be a skill. And I think that will create a new set of jobs.
Sure.
The second is the data which is going to get generated because of all these new things that is happening. It's going to be much more. So the problem that we looked at, for example, we might think that supply chain is mature, we have solved all the problem. But if you look at the supply chain, now it needs a very dynamic intervention in the supply chain. Something has happened yesterday, a tariff has come, or a cyclone happened, or a government geopolitical changes happened, where supply chain needs to get optimized in near real time. Now, that was not a demand for maybe 5 or 10 years ago. Now, can you look at that problem and solve for it, right? Quick commerce in India is gaining ground, which was unthinkable a few years ago, right? Now, that's a viable business model right now, right? Can you solve for that? So, I think the new kind of problems will emerge, which we need to solve for. And when we start doing that, I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot more jobs. There'll be a lot more jobs. The difference could be that some people might be like upper end of solving real complex problems, and some people will be at the extreme lower end of less intelligent problem solving, and you might get rewarded differently on this scale. But I don't think it will lead to a job loss and people will become jobless. I think on the contrary, I believe this will be like a creation of a lot more jobs, because the backbone of all the jobs was the intelligence, which is going to get democratized. So anybody who is not an expert will have access to similar opportunities.
Sure.
Like the example you were giving, right? You're able to generate content, edit it yourself. Otherwise, you'd have gone to a studio, you've done multiple things, hired a bunch of people to do editing, etc., that you are able to do. I think all that power will come to people.
So that's a great perspective what you're saying. Basically, it will not lead to a job loss, but maybe reskilling will be required and new set of skills will be required.
Absolutely.
But sir, your analysis and insight raises one more important question for me. What skills you think where humans can outperform in future AI? Where humans will continue to dominate vis-a-vis AI, and some areas we understand like analysis, research, maybe AI will kind of take over the basic intelligence or even the general intelligence. So what skills humans will continue to have an edge over AI?
It's a very interesting question. Humans are more than intelligence, right?
Yeah.
A lot more than. We are not just the words we speak and the thoughts we carry, right? If you meet patients who are dementia patients, for example, they don't remember, but they know. How do they know? Right? There is a mechanism by which they are able to connect to their loved ones, despite not remembering the face and the name, right? Which means there is an inherent humanness about this. Today, I'm sure if you try a chatbot and you do interactions with some of these tech, even at a mature stage, I think it will never be able to replace a human, right? Because we do not react to things because of a sequence, right? Machine still has to process a sequence, right? It has to get enough context to process it. The way I will react to you depending on the situation you are in, depending on the risk that I perceive, depending on how I have visualized in my whole world, how you visualize your whole world, and then we bring it together in that context. It will be next to impossible for even AGI to be able to do it, at least in foreseeable future. So I think human angle is something I don't think AI will be able to replace. No amount of intellect, even if intelligence is getting democratized, can get you the connection with people, right? So a bigger value will be how do you connect with people,
Sure.
right? And figure out that what do I bring? How do I help the other, the other party? If that skill will never go out.
So, sir, what you are suggesting is that emotional element, it is difficult that AI or AGI will be able to replace and build that, because they are running a sequence of patterns, and based on that, they will have a generic and specific response to anybody who's connecting in that context. Basically, it's not dependent on person. While people
correct.
may have.
We are not black and white as people, right? I'm not a good person, and I'm not a bad person. We are all grey and the same shade of grey. And we behave differently at different point in time of life and events, right? How will a machine, at least foreseeable future, I don't imagine a machine to be able to understand that.
Sure.
Right? We are having a conversation right now, which is very different conversation. Let's say we do the same conversation 20 years from now. I'm sure it will be a very different conversation, even as people.
Absolutely.
Right? Even as people, we'll probably connect very differently. So, which is why I believe that even though intelligence is getting democratized, and that's my favorite thing, right? We, by the way we have been brought up, we start to think memory is people. We start to think intelligence is people. But that's not the case. Your memory can go away, will still exist. You still feel love, you feel hate, you feel all the emotions. You may not have any memory, right? What is that? That is beyond machines, right? That is beyond intelligence. Your brain may not be responding to whatever you are trying to do, but there is something beyond that, which is how we connect. Sometimes we connect with people, we have no idea why. Sometimes we just don't like people, we have no idea why. Because there is something else which is beyond beyond the memory, beyond the patterns, beyond the intelligence. I do not see, at least in near future, that going away.
So maybe that's spiritual intelligence or something. We don't know, like what connects people.
Who knows? I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know what is beyond that,
Mhm.
right? I mean, and I'll tell you, I'm talking from experience. So I'll open up a little personal. My father has dementia, okay? And he doesn't recognize me. But the day I land in the city, exactly the time that I land, at my home, my father wakes up and calls the nurse and says, "Where am I?" Calling me by name.
So there's a still connection and like some
I have no explanation.
telepathy
for this.
happening.
I have no explanation for this. It has actually, when I've lived through last 2 years, it has changed my understanding of what I believe it means to be people.
Sure.
So AI, AGI, there's still a lot more things to come. So people, if you are and that's why I'm saying newer problem solving, right? This whole world which is going to evolve. I mean, people have families to raise, people have money to earn, people have things to do in their day-to-day life. If you can do anything around that, that will never go out of fashion. The quick commerce in India came because people were tired of getting out of the house to get something, right? Then quick commerce came and said, "Hey, I'll solve it for you." Like all these problems are getting addressed by private enterprises by coming with new ideas. And I think that's what will happen.
Sure. No, sir. And you have had such a wonderful career in IT, and where we are so much busy in looking at data, dashboards, and a lot of life as a leader in IT revolves around data and dashboards. So how do you connect with people beyond those numbers you're looking at? So
Very
that's
interesting. I had a very interesting model that I still use.
Yeah.
So all my people that I used to work with, I do alternate calls. One call with data, where we'll not discuss anything. We'll only focus on the numbers. And then I do one call where we do not discuss numbers.
No, so this is happening with your team?
Yes.
So one is more quantitative, data-driven. You're like going deep into what is happening, and then one is just the story. What is happening? What is
there is no agenda. We just connect and say, "Okay, tell me what's going on." Whatever it is.
Okay.
If there's nothing to talk about, we don't talk about anything. That's fine too. But the idea is to have people just have a generic conversation.
Sure.
We have to find space for the generic conversation.
And that's also scheduled on your calendar?
Yes. I plan for it.
Okay. And what's the frequency for this, sir?
I mean, every alternate week.
Every alternate week.
Yeah.
So, and there's no specific agenda, you just connect. So that's a important lesson for all the leaders. Like basically they can schedule these kind of calls to connect with their team members where we're not discussing any specific agenda and just learn more about what is happening around.
Yeah, it's extremely important because we are busy, we have an outcome to deliver, right? I mean, as a business leader, I'm like looking at a quarter, a month and a week. I have to close this, right? Just before that, somebody called because there's a project to be started and there's a red flag about something that somebody else is worried about. But then if we are always talking only about numbers and outcomes, then you don't have a connect. You'll never be able to build a connect. I mean, one test I have is, and you probably will be able to relate to this, is when you're working with somebody, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years later, if you meet somebody somewhere, would you love to go and say hi? And say, "Hey, how are you doing? How is your life?" If you don't, you're just wasting your time.
That's a great analogy, sir. No, thank you for sharing. And has that helped in improving the numbers also?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So this is a work for improving the targets, achieving the targets.
Absolutely, because see, we are not just the outcome that we deliver, right? We are people. We have aspirations. We have worries. Everyone has that. I have that. And if you do not connect as a person, you do not talk to the person and say, "Hey, look, I understand." I mean, I do this a lot of times. I've taken bet on people and I've gone and says, "I'm taking a bet. It's okay. You go do whatever you want to do. Anything fails, it's on me. Don't worry." And every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I go and repeat that same thing. Till he or she is assured that it's okay to fail. And if you don't give that assurance, then you will not get the outcome. So, I mean, leadership is not an exact science, right? A lot of things are still evolving. I mean, I actually have benefited from having a lot of people who have taught me things. I mean, I still have like at least 7, 8 active mentors that I reach out to, right? At least once a month I reach out to all these guys. I have a chat. If nothing else, I'll send a WhatsApp and then I'll call them over the weekend. And all the guys I know, I'm always in touch.
So what's the best leadership advice you have received, sir, so far, from anywhere?
My best was actually, he was a founder of a company called Canway, Dilip Nath. And there was a lady in my team, let me not take her name, and she was a very poor performer.
Yeah.
And like everybody else, I was like, she's not performing, I need to let her go. Right? I did a performance appraisal, put rating, objective, blah, blah, blah. And I went to him and says, look, Dilip, we need to fire her. He asked why. I said, oh, she's not performing. And he looked at me and said, okay, close down your rating. And he told me one line that has stayed with me. He says, Munjay, even a poor general can win a war with a great army. But it takes a great general to win a war with an army which is not ready. You choose which general you want to become. And I came back and typical, the guy is a founder is giving me some gyan and he's giving me some dope because he's like, that's his job. And I went back and I said, okay, tell me, what do you mean? He said, look, it's very easy for you to let her go. Can you turn around? Can you make her a top performer? And I scratched my head. I was 3 years out of college. And how do I do that? Right? I had no idea. No, I was not trained for any of this. So I said, okay, let me think. I went back. I took a task which was given to her. I said, you do it. And she was scared to touch because she said she's going to fail. I said, it's okay. You do it. Not a problem. She did not work. It was a code that we had to fix. I sat from Saturday night till Monday morning, fixed the whole code, shipped it to my folks at onsite. The code worked. She was very apologetic, saying, oh, you had to do this. I said, no, don't worry, it's all fine. When the onsite guys called me, and I said, yeah, she has done it. I had no idea why I said that. I had no idea why I did that. She changed as a person. A year later, I left that company. She took over my job.
So that's quite a turnaround case study, sir.
And this person. So then I realized that we all have a switch. She had a switch. I had a long chat with her. She had a switch. She was told always that you're mediocre. You cannot do well. You're not sharp. You're not intelligent. Okay? Don't ask questions. She always thought that she's not capable.
So belief she was carrying. So basically,
yeah, and when she got pushed to a corner saying somebody else is doing her job, she was like, I will try harder. And she did. And she took up my job after I left. Then I realized that people grooming, people training, people leadership growth is, we all have a switch inside. I have gone through, somebody flipped that switch inside me long ago. And that helped me. So I try to do that. I try to help people get that switch flipped.
So how to turn on the switch is the job of a leader.
Absolutely.
So that's great. And sir, what you're talking about, the beliefs. So a lot of us carry the belief that it's not okay to fail, and that hinders us from taking that huge jump or making those huge bets in terms of innovation, entrepreneurship. And in fact, that was my part of also the story, that initially I was carrying the belief that it's not okay to fail, and that was hindering my leap of faith and starting the entrepreneurial journey. I wanted to understand any time where you have made those big bets and that is how that has paid off. Yes.
So yes, of course, many times I've failed. I've done projects where I've failed. I have done, I changed from delivery into pre-sales role. I failed initially. I went from pre-sales into sales role. I failed initially, and then I became successful. So I've always, I think failure, you should not be afraid. So leadership, the way I look at it is, the leader's job is to take a call, to take a bet, knowing that you might fail. if you are worried about failure,
Mm.
you should not get into leadership roles. If you are worried about failures, it's certain.
Mhm.
It's certain that this might go wrong, this might go wrong, this might go wrong, but that's fine.
Mhm.
You still do those things because you prepare. You prepare like crazy. You do things which is very different from the last time.
Mhm.
But then you have to go with a mindset that it's okay. I'll do something next time. I mean, I can give you a story. I was during 2006-7, no, 2004. I was chasing a large deal.
Yeah.
And we had 1 month and we prepared and we thought we did a good job, and because the prospect came visiting us and he basically was upset by the shoddy quality we had produced. And I was ashamed of myself, saying, how did I end up in this situation? And it's because it was all new. I had no idea outsourcing. We didn't understand any of that stuff. We failed spectacularly.
Yeah.
Right? Spectacularly was the word, right? I mean, they got really mad at us. Immediately after like 3-4 months, we were working on another outsourcing deal. And when we started work on that, the promise I made was to me and myself and a team of 7-8 people. We said, we will make history. We will win the first outsourcing deal that India ever had. It took us a year. We did things that we never knew. And we won that contract. It was the first large outsourcing contract for that company.
From the same company?
No, from a different company.
From a different company.
But my learning was that I think the problem that I had earlier was that I was like trying to do what I had learned. So whatever I knew, I was trying to use it.
Okay.
But when I went for the next one, I realized that knowledge that I had was limiting me from doing what the client wanted.
So you were not being...
I was limited by what I knew rather than
being focused on the client.
And that really flipped.
Yeah. So
we started thinking differently. We said, what problem do you want to solve? Why are you doing this? And that changed. We started to design things which we had not done ever in that company.
So basically you were now having the perspective of the client, and that really helped you to design the solution according to their needs rather than like we trying to
And
serve.
it came from the failure. I wouldn't have learned otherwise. It came because of that failure that I had. Okay, me and my team had. And the second time when we went, all of us said, okay, let's flip the switch. Think about what they're trying to do. And then let's work backwards.
Sure.
And that gave us energy, that gave us thought process which was very different, and doing things differently, we were able to do that.
Oh, that's great, sir. Do you see that kind of appetite in the corporate India, like making those bold bets and taking risk and having the back on failure usually?
Oh, yeah. I think so. Yeah. I think India is built on that.
Okay.
The whole industry, if you look at, right? We have built this whole tech industry on learning things, about discovering things, taking risk, taking bets on tech stack, taking bets on problems that we have not solved. That's how the industry has been built. I mean, even if you look at non-tech, you look at manufacturing, engineering, a lot of things India has done. I think there is a social stigma, right, of failure, no doubt about that. I do believe that India still has not, but I think in last few years India has changed that, right? With the startups, and I see a lot of profile today which is of people who come to me saying, hey, I tried my startup, it has failed, and I'm like, yeah, sure, let's talk. Maybe I have a job for you, because I think the guy has learned something from that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So earlier this was not the case, but last 10-15 years I think things have changed.
So now we are opening up much more towards the failure.
Oh yes,
Accepting failure.
Absolutely. I think it's okay.
So a lot of young generation, the Gen Zs, they are coming, they're getting confused that how AI may take up their jobs. So what would be your advice to them? Like, what do you see in future in store for them?
I actually believe they have an advantage.
How, sir?
I'll tell you how. The problem solving that they do, the way they think, this new gen, is actually very different. I'll give you an example of how my generation thinks about problem solving. I have realized this after talking to my son, who is like 25-year-old. We solve a problem very sequentially. Okay, I have to go from, let's say, Delhi to Pune. I'll say, okay, how do I go? I go by flight. So I'll say, okay, what are the flight options? Then how do I go to the airport? I'll think about airport, going to the airport. From there, after I land, what do I do? Typically, that's how we solve the problem, right? These youngsters, they don't think like that. They think assemble. They have taxi booking options. How do you commute on ground? How do you travel long distance? The multiple options. Oh, you want to go from here to there? They'll assemble these options. Okay, which is a very different way of problem solving, right? And they are very intuitive to this. It's similar to how, and I'll give you a tech example, right? 20, 30 years ago when I was writing code, we would look at how memory is managed in the computers, right? Today, people don't need to worry about it. So these kids, when they generate code using these new tools, like I'm going to use some tech terms like cursor and cloud, and now when Grok 4 is coming as code generators, right? They do not go and write these codes. They generate the code and then they assemble it very quickly. And if something doesn't work, they don't go and fix it. They just regenerate it again. It's a very different way of doing things. So I strongly believe that the new gen actually has an advantage over the older generation because they are solving it very differently. So the software engineer of today, which is the youngsters, are very different. The finance person of today is very different. The way they will connect with people, the way they will do their own financial services is very, very different. And I think they will bring a very different approach to whether they are doing retail, whether they are doing financial services, whether they are doing supply chain, whether they are doing technology. And I strongly believe that there is a great future for this youngster. You remember the first thing that I spoke about, the intelligence democratization. If you're an expert, your expertise is not a USP today. The youngster has access to the same expertise to at least 60-70%. Now is the ability to solve the problem. And if they can think differently, they can actually solve it better. So my advice to youngsters is, you are actually better prepared. Keep your mind open, learn these new tools, invest in your ability to learn, do a lot more of these new things, and based on that, you'll actually do a better job. And you are actually better equipped. So don't think of yourself that you are competing against something. You are actually creating a better opportunity for a new generation. That's how I would think.
No, sir, that's very reassuring for the Gen Zs and the young professionals who are entering the market now, and a lot of reassurance to them on that space. And so you're saying that problem solving is a critical skill to have in future, and if we can really build upon identifying the patterns, solving the problems, and maybe the contextualization of the problem, that will really help us to use the tools of AI and build upon the solutions around that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at this, I'll give you a movie example.
Yeah.
People made movies using, camera and techniques and all that. This new generation, the video generators, which is coming up, right?
Yeah.
You could be storytelling. I mean, maybe the animation studio will be dead. Some kid sitting somewhere in Gurgaon here could be making the next Toy Stories, or some new version of that, which will win an Oscar. It's just a visualization, right? Your visualization of how you want the story to be told can be dramatic. You could be a movie maker better than the best in the world because you have access to tool now. And you could be a 14-year-old kid doing this. You don't need to be a 45-year-old, movie mogul to be able to do that. So I think it's truly disruptive, and it's actually an advantage for these youngsters.
So it's like another social media. Like now everyone has equal access to intelligence, and you can leverage how you want to use it for achieving your own objectives.
Absolutely.
That's great, sir. So you've been such a remarkable leader, wearing so many hats in leading large organizations, startup advisor as well. So I want to understand, what is one strength as a leader you think you have, and which you may not be aware about that.
That's a tough one. If I'm not aware, I probably don't know.
Yeah.
But
maybe people have told you about it, but you may not know. You may not have realized it on your own, but somebody told you that, Munjay, this has been your strength, or this is something you're very strong.
I think one thing I can really do well is look at the big picture and go down to details. Right? Not many people I see are able to do that, which I think I can do that very well. And there are a lot of people I know who are able to do that. So I think that's my strength. I can look at the big picture, but they can go down absolute to the last unit and then spend time trying to understand and solve it, and then go back and design something for the bigger problem. That's something which I do it like every day. The other thing, I love to read a lot. I read non-fiction, and sometimes on the weekend, I'll have 3-4 books open, and I'll be reading something here, something there, something there, and I want to connect a lot of these dots, and I love to figure out what else is going on, and then see how I can borrow some of these ideas from these various books that I'm learning, and incorporating some of these things in my life.
So you're always assembling new ideas and like creating some new cocktail out of it.
Yeah, I mean, when you read, you get time, and I read physical books. I don't read digital books.
No, I think that's boring. Digital books is boring. Even I do the same. I also come from the old school thought, and I like reading the physical books. You get a different feel. You can
Absolutely.
You can use a highlighter. You can
close the book. You can reflect upon it. It suddenly triggers a thought. You're not, because when it's digital, you're trying to finish it. In a book, I can go on two chapters now, 3 pages now, something else some other time. Sometimes I can do fast reading. Sometimes I go extremely slow, right? I mean, there are different. I love to figure out something new. I mean, that's new idea, new ways of thinking that really excites me.
No, that's very enriching, sir. And we're coming to the last question for you. What is the best advice you ever received?
Well, one we spoke about this.
Yeah, one. This is generic. This is not really leadership. It can be anything.
The best advice was actually from my father.
Yeah.
My father, he was in a PSU, and he was also a trade union leader. Right? And a lot of people used to come to my house, and something or other is going on. My father is always like, somebody needs some help. So once I was talking to my dad and said, what are you doing? Why don't you do this or do that, and tell this guy or that guy, and you're not getting this limelight. He told me one thing which has stayed with me, that when somebody comes to you, you are their last hope. So don't think that he's called you only for help. You are the last hope. That's why he's called you last. So don't carry it, right? Because a lot of times people think that, once he's exhausted everything, he's calling me for something.
Okay, yeah.
But I think about that a lot. A lot of people call, even today, call me for something. Even if I have not spoken to them for 10 years, and they call me saying, hey, Munjay, I need your help. I'm like, yeah, sure, that's fine. I thought that I got that from my father, that if somebody's calling me after a long time, I must be their last hope.
That's a very valuable advice, and most of the times we are having the different perspective. Okay, I'm the last option for them, so that's a very different perspective. And thank you so much for your time, sir. It was such a enriching, enlightening conversation on AI, on emotional intelligence, and some of the great stories you shared from your own leadership experiences were really great. And we had a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much here.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.